I'm so glad for having you in this project, and I'm really proud because I think your work is incredible, and your practice, and also I think it's interesting just to share with the audience also your background. So thank you, Madhvi, for having accepted my invitation. And
Thanks for inviting. In fact, it's an absolute pleasure.
I want just to start with my first question about this time that is so crazy and strange time. And I would like just to know, where did you spend your quarantine, and especially where? Since you are an international artist who is living and lived and living in so many places, so it's interesting to share this with your
Absolutely.
personal experience.
In fact, as you know, I have like literally continent hopped before and been out of India for more than now 18 years. And in that 18 years, I have lived on literally 4 to 5 continents, and ended up calling Singapore home because I really, really love that country. But at the same time, had visited Penang, which is an island in Malaysia, and also fell in love with that place. So decided to come here for a short while, and that short while has become 4 years. And when the COVID started, I was in Malaysia, and suddenly things started closing. And my husband was he was here, but because our home, for all practical purposes, is in Singapore, and that is our home. He had to take care of few things, so he was there, and the borders closed. So now we are, as a family, kind of split. And I don't mind being here because my working studio is very much in Penang. So very, very, it has been very good because it was funny because everyone had been saying, oh, you know what, it's affecting us. We had to make big changes in our lives, and it's a we don't know how to cope with it. But I think this would be the most common thing for all the artists, because we are so content with our own small world. Uh,
Yeah.
some are fortunate to have very large studios. In my case, and also my practice doesn't need very large studios. As you have seen, I mainly work with digital medium. So a computer, a good camera, and certain resources, that's my life. And in that small world, I end up creating things that I love, and it's been great. I mean, no major changes whatsoever. uh, However, I have been seeing on internet, everyone was raving about, oh, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to
Yeah.
do this, and what was your, this was my takeaway. And I had been thinking, how are people getting so much of time? Because virtually it is not possible. And I'm actually very good at time management. I do that. So if I have learned something, and if I have done something very differently, then it would be that I actually considered that this COVID situation is a wake up call.
Yeah.
And nature is asking all of us to take a step back. If the whole world has taken the step back, then is it possible that I need to also, in everything that I'm going, take a step back and rethink? So I actually did slow down a lot, because obviously my kids are at home.
Yeah.
So they are my older one is going to be an adult soon, and younger one is 13. So I'm not like at that stage where my
Yeah,
kids are, I have to do all the things I do for the kids, but obviously there is
of
more
course.
engagement and chaos, sometimes screaming. Everything keeps happening, and
Yeah.
that's a new thing. So I slowed, I took a step back in the way I'm engaged in the studio, which has worked wonders because it gave me uh, more time and more bandwidth to get deeper into the research
Yeah.
that I'm doing, and also reflect on the decisions or the choices that I had made on certain works that I was working. And I realized that no, you know what? Just like how the situation outside has changed, probably now my way of looking at the same works has also changed. And
Mm.
so, along with the art practice thinking, I actually took upon another challenge, which was going on, which started at the beginning of the year, January.
Mm.
But this, like everyone else, I also make do the resolution and set the goals. The only the you might think that I'm crazy, but I actually have a spreadsheet where I track how my goals are progressing. So I actually break them out down into by this month I should have. So it starts with the
Mm.
yearly goal, and then I break it into 6 monthly, 3 monthly, and every month, and then every day. What I need to do to work towards the goal that I have set. And one of that goal was you. Okay, it's going to be funny. It was that I wanted to learn how to do the headstand,
Oh,
and this, which is a yoga pose, and
yeah.
which I have been focusing on, and I have progressed, and so that's I would say that I would give a lot of credit to COVID because it gave me that time to
Yeah.
step back and focus, and uh, it helps me with my meditation
Mm.
because it kind of, and my meditation is a very central thing of my art practice, because
Yeah.
most of my work have has always been about either looking into myself or looking into what is happening around me. So I think I really felt that COVID was a blessing in disguise for me.
About your practice and for journal, what I posted, it was your digital waste. And I'm interested to see, just to receive an explanation of this work was created and the meaning, because wasted and so digital and wasted, these two words. Just let me know better the meaning of this work and what is representing.
So the thing is, I had started naming the project as digital waste, and it, from my understanding, I was looking at the digital waste from the perspective of the waste that we get all the time through various channels, whether it is social media, whether it's WhatsApp or TV or any sort of thing. However, I soon realized when the moment I said digital waste, people are thinking in terms of actual physical digital waste, in terms, say, for example, your mobiles, your e-waste rather
Yeah.
than digital waste. That's why the project, and then the more I researched, I actually then ended up calling it digital waste, sweet smell of burning. And that part I think is quite significant because what my work looks into and questions, and more than me
Mm.
questioning, it actually forces people to question themselves and their
Yeah.
own habits, because it started because when I started researching, there were few things that in I observed and I felt that were not right.
Mm.
Why on earth, when I step out and I'm having dinner, people around me are not looking at each other and not engaging with what the physical contact is sitting in front of them, but are so engrossed in the digital world, which is actually meaningless. The person who is liking your photo and giving you a heart on Instagram is not exactly there for you, and probably will never be there for you. But the person who is sitting in front of you we are not even kind of appreciating the importance and worth of that person. So those observation, and then obviously even if you just Google number of photos uploaded. So I'm talking from because I started this research quite some time back, and when I had at that point of time in 2017, it was 2017, in a year, just in that year, more than 3 trillion images uploaded on the cloud, and every year that percentage grows quite significantly. So if it is 3 trillion, next year it's going to be many more. That jump is quite much. And what happened? And then I started questioning that, you know what, I'm looking at this number and laughing, but then I am also kind of part of that statistics, because as a photographer, I end up taking lots of photographs. And then when I look around myself, look around my environment, everyone is obsessed taking selfies. It has gone through the generation. Doesn't matter what age group you are consumed by all this excessive photo, excessive amount of information, excessive amount of influences, external digital influences. And that started kind of because when I see this, it also the things that were becoming more prevalent was that it was changing the way society behaves. It is changing the way we kind of perceive things, and
also how we see the reality.
It's how we see the reality, exactly. And the whole project took shape in 3 different medium, or the 3 different ways of expressing. One, photographs which predominantly looked at habit of taking excessive photographs. Then it also, because it was while I was looking at creating, or while I was looking at the digital waste that was getting created, at the same time I was also creating a lot of paper waste, because I was actually printing them, and I thought, as if I'm talking about the waste, it is not right for me to also be wasteful about the resources that I have used. So I took those discarded photographs, which I thought were not good, worthy enough to be shown as photographs, and I shredded them and I created sculptures out of them. So that's where the sculptures, and that was more like I was playing with the materials that I had. But I got such a good response towards it that I thought, might as well, if people are liking it, then that's something that I have played with, might as well let me show them. And that's why they ended up becoming part of the series, which was not an intentional thing, but yes. And something that was much more intentional was the video work, which talked about the impact of the text and video, with text, images, everything that we end up getting through social media, because that is, I think, is really impacting the youth, especially the younger generation, and also the generation. I don't think and when I'm speaking of this kind of thing, please, in the past also I have told people, and I would again try to make myself clear that not even once I'm saying that technology is bad.
No.
In fact, I am a big advocate of technology. I am a huge user of technology. In fact, today you and I got connected thanks
to technology. It's just technology is bad, how we are using, but the technology in general is not bad, can help people to connected like us. In our case is something that we have to thank. So I think, yeah, this is demonstrating how technology can be used for good or bad reason.
There are one very funny incident and one during my exhibitions, and one very touchy incident that happened. So I'll start with the touchy one because during one of the exhibition, one guy came and said he's the one who teared up, and he said, "You don't know what you have created. You don't know how important this message is required because." And that was after seeing the video works. He said, "What you are saying is 100% right, and this needs to be made understood to younger people." He said, "My sister was yesterday discharged from psychological from an institute where she was receiving psychological help because she tried committing suicide." And I said, "Okay." And I didn't know, actually, in that situation, I didn't know how to
react. Yeah,
exactly. So then I just kind of kept quiet so that he would, if he wants to share more here. And he said, "I actually want to tell you that why my sister tried committing suicide." She said, "My sister was on Instagram all the time. She is some at that time point of time she was some 14-15-year-old girl." And she said she started following accounts where she felt that, that is the image that she wants to achieve, how she looks and all. And she just tried, but whatever she tried, she could not, and got into depression and the inferiority complex, and just that, oh, my friends don't end up liking my photos the way they end up liking other person's photo. And that incident, actually, that whole thing led to a teenager trying to commit suicide out of social pressure. And that was like, I really didn't think that it would evoke or connect to so many people in so many times. I have had parents coming and saying that we are going to come back, we are going to bring our kids, we want them to see these works because the message is so loud and clear.
Like now, just to introduce another your project that you are part of this interesting project that is Crossing Borders, and this is another part of you because you are an artist, but sometimes you are a facilitator, I have just to say, because you are putting things together and people together and creating something amazing like this project. And I'm just curious to know why and how these projects came up.
No, the thing is, Crossing Borders. This project, actually, we conceptualized. So I had exhibited in Sweden, and the galleries from there, and she and her name is Gada. So Gada was in touch with another curator and artist who lives in the US, and Gada had a conversation with Alan, and Gada had conversation with me when I had visited Sweden for my exhibition. And there she knew that I have been thinking, because I have always been a believer that it is as artists, when we come together, as not only as artists but as art practitioner, and that art practitioner can be anyone in my definition. It can be artist, a curator, gallerist, art agent, or art lover, or anyone. When we all come together, uh, it becomes much easier to execute things which otherwise sometimes become difficult. And there are times, and especially because I feel I owe it to the community. So say when I came to Penang, the Penang really open with open arms. They accepted me into, I'm not from here, but in the art community or in Penang in general, everyone just as if I belong here. So, and of course, I also feel it both ways. If you show that interest to integrate into the society, they will accept you. But if you don't make that effort, you are always going to be an expat, that outsider. And I have been lucky everywhere I have lived. Um, I could become part of the community. And once I do that, I also feel it becomes my responsibility to do something in return for the that community, and that's where the whole idea had generated. So in the beginning, I was it that idea is based in Penang, and it's called Open Studios Penang. And I was at the beginning, at the time of conceptualizing, I was part of the whole project. And then later because of my personal commitments and the way things were going, I decided not to be part of that. And that particular initiative is still run by the other people who were involved. Again, initiative which was purely a very organic idea. And so in that respect of Open Studios Penang, I had the conversation with Gada that I want to have much global. So Open Studio Penang ended up becoming a very localized thing. It happens here. Whereas what I wanted to just create a platform where I can bring more global community together. And Radha was always aware of this thought process. So, and Ellen also wanted to do something like this. So three of us came together, and then I have another artist and curator that I know of called Ju, and Ju is also again in the same boat. She has been living everywhere, and then she's from Scotland, but called Malaysia her home for a very long time, and then now she has gone back. And like everyone, many of us, too many roots, not one root, but too many roots. And so we all came together, and we just kind of started with this thought process that how much migration in our in our short history that and common experience we have. And that's where the whole conversation started, and we decided, why don't we come up with a with a project which looks into this aspect, which is before COVID also, with all the migration issues going all around, whether they are political, whether they are geopolitical, or whether they are and due to the environmental changes or many other factors. The actual migration of human, animals, and every possible thing is going on, and it has become quite a big, huge issue. So how do we as artists, it is our responsibility to also bring, because while it is so much accessible to everyone, but I don't think the common public is so much, because it is not happening to them.
No,
because it is happening somewhere else because it's there in the news, which they hear literally all the time, but it's not, they are not feeling it.
No, they are not directly affected by this problem. They can see only on the news and TV or newspapers and nothing else. Yeah.
So we kind of, from artist perspective, we wanted to kind of raise awareness on this topic, and also create a platform where the people who have had similar kind of experiences or working on the similar topic, we can bring them together. So it's a very organic, there is no organizational structure or anything involved in this project. It's a very organic concept that we have launched, and we feel extremely humble the kind of support that we have received from the art community, as well as from all the places, galleries, and or other organizations who are coming forward and saying that, you know what you are trying to do is very important. And we have been brainstorming, and right now, because we still don't have all the okays and yes from right resources, it's very premature for me to say it. However, I don't mind saying that if possible, we want to use this platform and the art that we create to do some sort of fundraising, so that we can go and support individual community. And because this is all artist run and curator run initiative, where we are doing, we don't know whether we would be able to actually finally end up doing it or not, but it's a completely non-profitable initiative that we have started. And what we are trying to do is, it's like a network effect. 4 of us came together and we approached individual artists and curators. Also, we were we were looking at how connected we are, and how, in spite of being kind of migrating all the time, the core of the idea still remains the same, that nothing is there is no disconnect, because we wanted to see that. And this is also, if I look at the concept from a very philosophical point of view, everyone is bringing one recruit, and the only thing is that whoever comes in, they are supposed to give shape to some sort of presentation of so we are not in this project, we are not dealing, obviously, because we don't have any funding, any resources, or infrastructure. We are not dealing with the original works. We are only asking people to allow us to use their three or four. I mean, we have still not finalized the number, but we are asking people to let us use images of their work, not their work. And then the curators are going to come up with very innovative and come up with the ideas where not necessarily it is unique, but it connects with people, and it remains organic and of takes the message. So
it's organic, like the life and the human being. Organic, like exactly our life and our body. Thanks a million for all your time, for this nice and beautiful, lovely interview, because it's so late for you. So I want to thank you so much. So
you're most welcome, and pleasure was absolutely mine. It was really nice of you to invite me for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much again.